When did a budgeting gig turn into a CPS nightmare? Holy shit, CPS was called on us, like actual Child Protective Services. And it was all over a stupid freelance gig and the fact that Benjamin, 43M, could not, for the life of him, handle that someone else might be better at budgeting his life than he is. I am absolutely sitting here in my beat-up 2018 Honda Civic in the Costco parking lot at 1:37 a.m. because I literally cannot process the last 48 hours. I feel like I'm going to throw up the Talenti gelato I stress ate. I don't even know where to start with this, TBH. Maybe I should start with why Wayne Gonzalez, 26M, ended up in this absolute nightmare scenario in the first place. 2 years ago, I was the quintessential corporate drone, logging 60 hours a week in an office on the 5th floor downtown, watching my PTO hours stack up while my soul evaporated. I was making okay money, sure, but I was miserable. My biggest worry was whether the Starbucks line on Main Street would take longer than 7 minutes. Then I read one of those stupid escape the grind posts and NGL it resonated. I quit the job deciding to try to make a living doing what I was actually good at, organizational optimization and budget triage. Basically, I help small businesses and wildly disorganized people stop hemorrhaging money. I thought it would be liberating. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. It was terrifying, and now CPS is involved. The current gig was supposed to be easy. A huge wedding planning company hired me as an external consultant to manage a nightmare client roster. They had these 4 clients who were absolute headaches, bleeding them dry with impossible requests and constantly threatening to Zelle request money back. The goal was to smooth out the communication, stabilize the budgets, and generally stop the meltdowns. This is where the cast of characters comes in. First, there was Benjamin Kelly, 43M. He was the designated family scapegoat, according to his sister, who initially hired the wedding planner. He was constantly running point on his niece's wedding, a task everyone else was apparently too busy or too smart to take on. Benjamin was a mess. His phone, a cracked Samsung Galaxy that was always at 3% battery, had 27 missed calls in 1 hour the Tuesday before last. He looked permanently exhausted, like he hadn't slept since 2019. I felt bad for him, honestly. He was trying to manage this massive budget, but he kept making these tiny, expensive errors. We're talking $85 plumber charges because he tried to fix his own sink, followed by accidentally purchasing 2 $200 withdrawals from an ATM on the same day because he forgot he already hit withdraw. His actual monthly rent was $1,247, but he constantly budgeted $1,400 just in case, which meant he was always scrambling. Benjamin and I immediately clashed because he viewed me, the 26-year-old corporate drone escaping, as some entitled TikTok influencer who knew nothing about real life. He was all about the experience, which meant adding unnecessary things to the wedding budget. I'd sent him the spreadsheet where I clearly showed the $43.67 grocery bill for the week before, proving he could manage money if he tried, and he'd text back, and I quote, "Your projections are sterile, Wayne. This wedding needs life." I was like, dude, life is expensive when you refuse to use the bulk discount at Costco, where I am currently parked, ironically. Then there was Gloria Hill, 40F. Gloria was managing the rehearsal dinner budget, which was supposed to be low-key. Gloria was struggling with a serious shopping addiction. I mean serious. When I went over her initial expenditures, I found 3 separate Amazon packages delivered every single day for a month. She had $347 charged to her Visa from Target. She only went in for toothpaste, she claimed, and another $200 in monthly subscriptions, Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, Peloton, and some weird obscure documentary streaming service. She claimed she needed the Peloton subscription for her mental health, but her Fitbit steps showed 0 activity for the last 7 days. Gloria was initially defensive. When I showed her the total projected overspend, about 18% just on decorations that weren't even finalized, she just stared at me blankly. "But I need the new farmhouse sign," she said. I was ready to quit right there. But here's the thing about Gloria, she was genuinely kind, just completely overwhelmed by the instant gratification of capitalism. She started responding to my recommendations. I suggested she try blocking Amazon and installing a Chrome extension that shows a photo of her actual checking account balance every time she opened a shopping site. She was mortified but agreed. By last week, Gloria was actually starting to thrive. She sent me a text full of typos that read, "Wayne, I went to Trader Joe's and only spent $52. I didn't even buy a new candle. I feel like a god." I was genuinely proud of her. This wasn't just about the wedding, it was about her life. And finally, there was Ralph Bennett, 29M. Ralph was the entitled wedding guest who for some reason was assigned to handle the transportation budget, God only knows why. Ralph had this smug air about him. He drove a BMW he clearly couldn't afford, wore an Apple Watch, and referred to me as the spreadsheet guy. He was 29, just 3 years older than me, but treated me like I was a high school intern. Ralph's transportation budget was a mess because he kept trying to book these ridiculously expensive, pointless amenities. He wanted the limo service to include Ben and Jerry's in the car. He tried to claim $150 worth of expense reports for driver motivation coffee, which was, I kid you not, just Starbucks venti lattes for himself. Ralph was furious that I was questioning his choices. He felt entitled to these luxuries because, and I quote him exactly here, "I'm doing the work for them, Wayne. A man should be compensated for his emotional labor." Emotional labor, my ass. He was just being lazy and expensive. The gig was supposed to last 3 weeks. By week 2, I had actually managed to save the wedding party about $7,000, mainly by getting Gloria to stop buying artisanal dog bowls and getting Benjamin to understand that contingency fund doesn't mean fun money. This is where the jealousy started, specifically from Benjamin. Benjamin was used to being the only one talking to the wedding planner, the only one getting the attention. He was the perpetual martyr. Suddenly, the wedding planner was texting M.E. Wayne at 11:47 a.m. on a Tuesday saying things like, "Thank God for Wayne, Gloria actually stuck to the budget this week." Benjamin started getting passive-aggressive. He'd reply all to my emails with incredibly detailed, overly complex questions designed to confuse me. One time, I sent a straightforward Zelle transaction request for a vendor, and he replied with a 5-paragraph diatribe about the socioeconomic implications of digital currency. I knew he felt threatened. He saw me, the young guy who escaped the corporate grind, fixing the problems he couldn't fix. He was the family scapegoat, and I was making him look bad even though that wasn't my intent. I was just trying to keep the $347 target bill from becoming a $500 target bill. Then last Wednesday, things got really weird. I was having a working lunch with Gloria at Panera. She was so proud because she ordered the Choose 2 and only spent $14. We were talking about how she managed to cancel 2 of her subscription services. She even blocked the site for the obscure documentary channel. "It's funny," she said, stirring her soup. "Benjamin called me earlier. He was asking really weird things about you." "Like what?" I asked, taking a bite of my sandwich. "Like, does Wayne seem stressed, and has Wayne ever mentioned any financial trouble or family issues?" My stomach dropped a little bit. That was an odd angle. Why would he ask that? "He said he was worried about you, that you seemed too focused on the money, and that maybe you were pushing us too hard because you needed the gig," Gloria whispered, looking around nervously. "I told him you were literally the calmest person I knew, but he kept pressing. He even asked if I knew where you lived." I felt my hands start shaking. This wasn't worried about me. This was weird, stalking behavior. Benjamin was feeling so marginalized that he was actively trying to dig up dirt. I checked my phone. I had 4 texts from Ralph, 29M, that read like this. Text 1, "Hey spreadsheet guy." Text 2, "Benjamin is talking shit apt you." Text 3, "He said you are too young to know anything apt real pressure and that you should go back to corp." Text 4, "Lol, the passive aggression had turned into active sabotage." I confronted Benjamin the next day. We were supposed to meet at a coffee shop on Main Street to finalize the catering budget. I walked in, ordered a small black coffee. I didn't want to encourage unnecessary spending, even on myself, and sat across from him. He was fiddling with his busted Samsung Galaxy. "Benjamin," I started, trying to keep my voice even, "Gloria mentioned you were asking some personal questions about my finances and living situation." He didn't even look up. He just shrugged. "A professional courtesy, Wayne. I worry about my colleagues. You are very young to be handling this much stress. Just want to make sure you're stable." "I am completely stable, thank you. What I am not stable with is you trying to undermine my work because I managed to save the rehearsal dinner budget 20% by cutting unnecessary luxury bath bombs." He finally looked up, and the look in his eyes was pure resentment. "You think this is a game, Wayne? You think checking boxes and cutting the fun out of life is what this is about? I've been dealing with real-world issues since you were playing with Legos. Real-world issues like forgetting your security deposit is non-refundable if you break your 12-month lease." I shot back. "I know, petty, but I was seeing red." "You're being dramatic." He immediately hit me with the gaslighting phrase. "You're overreacting. I was just trying to help." This kind of intense focus, Wayne, it looks like desperation. I was done, just done. I packed up my iPhone 14, which had 47 notifications, mostly Slack messages from other clients, and stood up. "Look, I am here to save the wedding money, not manage your midlife crisis fueled by professional jealousy. Stick to the budget or I'll loop the planner in on the difficulty of working with you." I walked out. I felt physically shaky, the kind of full-body shaking that makes you want to crawl into bed and sleep for 14 hours. I called my best friend. "Girl, what the fuck?" my friend Jamie said immediately. "He is harassing you. That is harassment." "I know, but I need this gig," I mumbled, pulling out of the coffee shop parking spot and into the horrendous 5:30 p.m. traffic. "I'm close to paying off my credit card debt and I can't afford to lose this contract." "Wayne, listen to me. If he does anything else, anything at all, you cut him off and tell the planner he's toxic. Seriously, say the word and I'll fight him." I hung up feeling marginally better, though I did eat a McDonald's drive-thru dinner that night, completely abandoning my attempts at meal prep. 2 days later, which was yesterday, Friday, everything went absolutely sideways. I woke up feeling pretty good. I had cleared my inbox and even managed a short run on the Peloton. Yes, I bought one after quitting my job. I am part of the problem. I made a cup of decent gas station coffee because I ran out of pods and sat down at my desk in apartment 3B around 10:00 a.m. My Ring doorbell notification went off. I glanced at the live feed on my iPhone. It was an unmarked white van. Usually that's just Amazon, but this guy wasn't wearing an Amazon vest. He was wearing a slightly too small blue button-down shirt and had a clipboard. He looked incredibly official. I ignored it, figuring it was some sort of delivery or maybe a religious person. Then he rang again and again and again. By the 5th ring, I realized he wasn't leaving. I opened the door, ready to hit him with an "I'm not interested." The man looked at me, a clipboard held rigidly in his hand. "Good morning, I'm looking for Wayne Gonzalez. I am from Child Protective Services." I literally went blank, my jaw dropped, like cartoon character jaw drop. Wait, what are you saying? "CPS, I don't have any children." The guy didn't flinch. "Yes, we received an anonymous tip earlier this morning, Tuesday at 11:47 a.m. Wait, Tuesday at 11:47 a.m. That was exactly when the wedding planner texted me saying how great I was doing, and right around when Benjamin was talking to Gloria. The report stated concerns regarding the neglect and dangerous living environment of a child residing at this address, specifically concerning potential financial instability due to compulsive gambling or substance abuse issues that may be affecting the welfare of the minor. I couldn't breathe. My chest went tight. "Sir, this is a mistake. I live alone. I don't have children. I don't even have a goldfish." The CPS worker was totally professional but totally unyielding. "I understand this may be confusing, Mr. Gonzalez, but we have to follow up on all reports. Could you confirm that no minors reside in this apartment?" I walked him through my empty, clean apartment. The utter humiliation of having this official serious man walking past my IKEA bookshelf and my single carton of leftover pizza was overwhelming. I was literally shaking. I wanted to scream, but the neighbors in 3A would probably call the actual police. After about 5 minutes, he confirmed it was a false report. "It seems we were given erroneous information, Mr. Gonzalez. We will close the file immediately." He apologized stiffly and left. As soon as the door closed, I ran to my laptop. Compulsive gambling, financial instability, dangerous living environment. Where would someone get that information to make it sound credible, even if false? It was like a switch flipped. Everything finally clicked, and I felt so stupid for not seeing it sooner. I went straight to my Venmo history. I had a recurring Venmo request from Benjamin every month for $50 labeled office supply copay, which I always paid, figuring it was for shared printing costs or something. I sent that man hundreds of dollars over the last year. I scrolled down his transaction history, which was public, because Benjamin is technologically illiterate and wouldn't know how to change the privacy settings on his Samsung if his life depended on it. A payment from Benjamin to his sister 2 weeks ago, $400 for childcare. A payment to a Miss PT labeled tuition advance. A payment to a local school district for late fees. Benjamin, 43M, was clearly the primary caregiver for a minor child, probably his niece or nephew, the one whose wedding he was helping plan. And given the late fees and constant financial instability he projected, he was clearly struggling. And then I looked at his most recent public Venmo activity, which was timestamped just 30 minutes before the CPS worker showed up at my door. Payment from Benjamin Kelly to a user named RalphBen89, $50. Note for the favor, much appreciated. Ralph, 29M, the entitled wedding guest, was definitely involved. He was the one obsessed with emotional labor and constantly talking trash about me to Benjamin. The rage I felt, I saw red. Benjamin didn't just feel jealous of my professional success. He felt financially and personally threatened by the fact that I was exposing his reckless spending habits to the wedding party, which might compromise his ability to care for a child he was clearly struggling to support. He couldn't stand the pressure, so he weaponized his most vulnerable point, the financial instability and the presence of a child, and flipped it onto me. He created an anonymous CPS report using the most devastating hyperbolic claims possible: gambling, substance abuse, dangerous environment. He paid Ralph $50 to make the report, probably so it couldn't be traced directly back to him, thinking he was safe. It was calculated, it was malicious, and it was pure unadulterated jealousy that had metastasized into absolute cruelty. I wanted to key his BMW. I wanted to post the entire Venmo history thread on Twitter. I wanted to scream so loud my windows would shatter. Instead, I sat down and composed an email to the main wedding planner, CCing Gloria, Ralph, and Benjamin, detailing everything I had found about the $50 payment and the timing of the CPS visit. I hit send. It was 11:30 a.m. Within 5 minutes, my phone blew up. Benjamin tried to call me 12 times in a row. His texts were frantic. "Wayne, pick up. We need to talk. This is a misunderstanding. Can we TLAC?" Ralph texted me simply, "Bro, WTF." But it was Gloria's text that hit the hardest. She didn't text me. She texted Benjamin, accidentally CCing me in a group chat with Ralph. Gloria, 40F, texted Benjamin, "Did you really call CPS on Wayne? Are you serious?" After he helped me stop buying so much shit and get my finances together. "You are disgusting, Benjamin. Absolutely disgusting. My kids were taken away once. You do not play with CPS. I am telling the wedding planner everything." I stared at the screen, my heart beating so hard I thought it would come out of my chest. Gloria's kids were taken away once. She was a mother who had genuinely been trying to fix her life, and Benjamin had just used the very system that nearly destroyed her to try and sabotage me. The math wasn't mathing for Benjamin anymore. He was cornered. Suddenly a new call came in, not from Benjamin. It was from the wedding planner herself, and she sounded terrified. "Wayne," she started. The background noise sounded like an expensive restaurant. "Wayne, you need to hear this. Ralph just called me screaming, saying Benjamin is threatening him about the $50 payment. And I just got a call from someone." She paused, and I could hear her take a shaky breath. "Wayne, the child, Benjamin's daughter, I think she was home alone when he was supposed to be working on the budget, and the school tried to call him, but he blocked them." I gripped my phone so tight my knuckles were white. What are you saying?" "I think someone saw her alone, Wayne, and I think they called CPS again, not on you this time, on Benjamin." I heard the sound of a door slamming shut in the background of her call. "Wayne, I'm getting a call from a restricted number. I have to go, but I think someone else is at Benjamin's door right now. And if they find out that he just filed a fraudulent report to try and frame you while his daughter was unattended," the line went dead. "I've been driving around for 2 hours trying to figure out what the hell is happening. Did the CPS agent who visited me find out that Benjamin filed a false report and then launch an investigation into him? Did Gloria call them? Did Ralph panic and call them to save his own skin? I don't know, but I know one thing, that fragile, jealous man might have just destroyed his own life and dragged Gloria, the woman who was actually turning her life around, and me into the fallout." I just checked my email. Benjamin replied all to my furious email with 3 words: "I am sorry. I am not even close to believing him, but I am absolutely terrified for that kid. What the actual fuck is going to happen next? I need to know if the child is safe. I can't leave this here. I just can't. I'm not even close to believing him, but I am absolutely terrified for that kid. What the actual fuck is going to happen next? I need to know if the child is safe. I can't leave this here. I just can't. Okay, so I didn't stay in the Costco parking lot forever tbh. I sat there for maybe another 45 minutes staring at the fluorescent lights and eating the rest of the Talenti salted caramel, highly recommend for existential crises. I kept rereading Benjamin's pathetic "I am sorry" text. It felt hollow, like the apology you give when you get caught stealing a pack of gum, not when you weaponize the government against someone. I knew I couldn't drive to Benjamin's house. That would be completely insane. It would look like harassment or intimidation, which is exactly what he had just done to me. I had to handle this logically, which meant talking to the only other person who was acting like a rational human being, Gloria. I called Gloria 40F immediately. It was around 1:00 a.m. on Saturday morning now. I figured she was probably still up stressing about Benjamin's text that she accidentally CC'd me on. She picked up on the second ring, sounding completely wrecked. "Wayne, oh my God, Wayne," she whispered like she was hiding in a closet. "Gloria, are you okay? Did you talk to the wedding planner?" "Yeah, well no, I mean yes, I talked to her, but she's completely losing it. She says the wedding is probably going to be postponed or maybe even canceled because of the family drama." "I don't care about the wedding, Gloria," I snapped, which was rude, but in GL my priorities had shifted radically from floral budgets to child welfare. "What about the kid, Benjamin's daughter, is she okay?" Gloria sighed, a long, ragged sound. "I don't know the full story, Wayne. Benjamin is not picking up, but the planner called his sister, the bride's mother, who is utterly livid. Apparently the CPS agent who showed up at Benjamin's door wasn't the first one." My stomach dropped again, violently this time. "Wait, what? The CPS agent who came to your place, he realized the report was bogus, right? And he saw your documentation showing you were a consultant, and he asked why someone would file such a specific malicious report. When the planner's assistant forwarded him the email thread where Benjamin apologized for the incident, things moved fast. I hadn't thought about that. The CPS worker who came to my apartment wasn't some automaton. He was a professional. He probably deals with vindictive exes and petty neighbors all the time. But the specificity of the compulsive gambling and financial instability probably sounded suspiciously like someone trying to deflect attention from their own issues. So the first CPS worker called the wedding planner. No, Wayne. He called Benjamin's local precinct. He reported the false claim as potential harassment, and in doing so, he flagged Benjamin's name in the system. When he did that, another social worker, one already familiar with the family due to the sister's past calls about Benjamin struggling, got the ping. Holy shit. Benjamin was already on a watch list, essentially. The second CPS worker went to Benjamin's house, not because of my email, but because of the initial false report combined with existing family concerns, Gloria explained, sounding like a true crime podcaster recounting evidence. And when they showed up, the little girl, her name is Sarah, she's 10, was alone, and she had apparently been alone for a while. Benjamin was supposed to be working at the coffee shop, but he was actually just driving around panicking after your email hit. This was worse than I thought. This wasn't just professional jealousy leading to sabotage. This was actual severe negligence stemming from his deep financial and emotional exhaustion. "So Sarah is with CPS?" I asked, dread washing over me. "No, thank God, she's with the sister, now the bride's mother." The wedding planner confirmed that. She said Benjamin is currently locked out of the house and the CPS worker is doing an initial assessment of the living environment right now. "He's totally screwed, Wayne, and I feel terrible for Sarah, but honestly he had it coming." Gloria's voice cracked then. "You know, when I told you my kids were taken away once, it was because I was so deep into the shopping addiction I literally bought a new $400 designer bag instead of paying the electric bill. It was the lowest moment of my life, and I was furious at Benjamin for trying to weaponize that pain against you. He knew my history. He knew how scared I was of that system. He didn't care." Hearing her say that made me feel so much better, NGL. Not because Benjamin was suffering, but because Gloria was seeing clearly. She was prioritizing human kindness and integrity over family loyalty or the superficial drama of the wedding. She genuinely had grown. She was standing up for me, the spreadsheet guy. "Gloria," I said, "thank you for telling me and for standing up for me in that group chat." "Don't thank me," she said. "I owe you. You were the only one who didn't look at me like a lost cause when you saw my Amazon receipts. You gave me actionable steps. You're not the problem, Wayne. Benjamin is drowning and he decided to pull everyone down with him." We talked for a few more minutes. I told her I was going home to try and sleep and that I would formally resign from the gig first thing in the morning. I had saved them $7,000, but no amount of money was worth the threat of CPS showing up at my apartment again. So it's been 2 weeks since, 2 weeks of absolute chaos. I officially resigned the following morning, Saturday. The email was concise. "Due to ongoing, unacceptable professional harassment that escalated into the filing of a fraudulent government report, I am immediately terminating my contract. All billing and documentation are attached. I wish the client not Benjamin success with the wedding." The wedding planner, bless her stressed out soul, called me immediately and begged me not to quit, offering me a 50% bonus if I just stayed on to clean up the Benjamin mess. I politely declined. My sanity is worth more than a 50% bonus. I know growth, right? 2 years ago, I would have taken the money and suffered through it. I was completely ready to put Benjamin behind me and move on, focusing on my other, much more boring and less criminally-minded clients. Thank God for boring clients who just need help with their QuickBooks. But Benjamin wasn't done being dramatic. 3 days after the CPS visit, a Tuesday, I got a text from Ralph, 29M. Ralph, the entitled transportation guy who was paid $50 to be the puppet. Ralph, "Hey man, I need to talk to you seriously. I'm freaking out." I ignored it. Ralph was a narcissist, and his freaking out meant he was worried about the consequences for himself, not about what he did to me or what Benjamin was going through. He didn't give up. He called. I sent him to voicemail. Then he texted again. "Ralph, Benjamin is trying to drag me into this. He's saying I set him up. I need you to tell them that I didn't know the report was false. I thought you were actually gambling." I burst out laughing, alone in my apartment. He thought I was gambling. I literally spent my Friday nights watching Netflix documentaries and calculating my 401k projections. The most high-stakes gambling I do is choosing the color of my next sock purchase. I finally replied because I needed to shut down his delusion that I was going to help him. You were paid $50 to make a report that weaponized a government agency. You are accountable for your own choices, Ralph. Speak to the wedding planner, not me. I have resigned. His reply was instantaneous. Dick Wayne, I was just trying to help a friend out. I'm going to tell them you were verbally abusive to Benjamin. LOL, verbal abuse? All I did was show him a spreadsheet where his monthly spending on artisanal dog treats was higher than his mortgage payment. Kidding, but you get the idea. I blocked Ralph immediately after that text. It was a lost cause, a pathetic, entitled frat boy who never learned that actions have consequences beyond his rich daddy fixing everything. Update: about a week after the CPS visit, I got a very formal email from Benjamin's sister, the bride's mother. Let's call her Karen because she earned it. It wasn't an apology, it was a cease and desist. Karen's email: Mr. Gonzalez, this email is to formally request that you cease all contact with my brother Benjamin Kelly and my family. While we understand the nature of your financial consulting role, we believe your actions contributed significantly to Benjamin's psychological distress. We are now dealing with an internal family matter, and any further communication or public disclosure will be met with legal action regarding harassment and defamation. I sat back, staring at the screen. They were trying to blame me. Benjamin weaponizes CPS and they think I am the one harassing him. The level of entitlement radiating off that email was enough to power a small city. I sent the email straight to Jamie, my best friend. Jamie is a paralegal and is terrifyingly good at research. Jamie texted back 15 seconds later, "Are you kidding me? They are gaslighting a literal crime. I am drafting a response. Do not reply to her. She's using scare tactics. Let me handle this." Jamie's drafted response, which I slightly edited and sent back to Karen, was a masterpiece of corporate drone aggression. It detailed the timeline, the CPS report, the time-stamped Venmo payment, the exact conversation with Gloria, and the fact that Benjamin's own sister, Karen, had called the wedding planner previously to express concerns about Benjamin's instability. It ended, and this is the best part, with a professional note. My documentation regarding the CPS visit and Mr. Kelly's attempts at defamation are currently logged in secure files. Should you pursue any legal action against me for publicly disclosing a proven time-stamped instance of professional harassment and filing a fraudulent government report, please understand that I will countersue for emotional distress and professional damages, and all of this evidence will be immediately filed publicly with the court. Please direct any further correspondence through my representative, Jamie T. Esk, paralegal. I hit send and immediately had a panic attack mixed with the euphoric feeling of standing up for myself. I felt like I had graduated from corporate drone escaping to corporate drone vengeance. Karen did not respond. Good, but Benjamin was still out there. A week ago, 3 days ago actually, on a Thursday morning, I received a package in the mail. It was a small, flimsy box and it had Benjamin's handwriting on it. I opened it cautiously, expecting maybe an anthrax scare or a rotting fish. It was just a small, slightly dented copper mug, the kind you use for Moscow mules. Attached was a handwritten note, not texted, but actual ink on paper. The note read, "Wayne, I know you don't believe me and you shouldn't. I was jealous. I was desperate. I was scared. You exposed the gap between who I pretend to be and who I actually am, which is a failing caregiver who can't pay the bills and is too ashamed to ask for help. When Sarah's school called me again about the outstanding tuition, I panicked. I saw you, young and successful, fixing my mistakes, and I wanted to destroy the person who was making me look incompetent to the one group of people who still tolerated me. I am truly sorry I called CPS on you. It was disgusting, cowardly, and dangerous. I deserved everything that happened next. I am in therapy. I'm staying with a friend of my sister's, and I am currently only allowed supervised visits with Sarah. They are right to do this. I am failing her. I don't expect your forgiveness, but I am asking for your help. The wedding planner is withholding my final $1,500 payment until I resolve the budget issues. I cannot afford the lawyer to help me get Sarah back without that money. I know I don't deserve it, but if you could just finalize the last 2 spreadsheets, the floral and the venue deposits, I could use that money to fight for my daughter. I know you've resigned, but I am begging you. I have nowhere else to go. The copper mug is because I remember you saying you liked them. It's a pathetic offering. I know. I read that letter 5 times. My first thought was, no, absolutely not. He's trying to manipulate me. He is using his daughter, Sarah, as a pawn to get me to do his work for him and get his money back. This is classic Benjamin, the perpetual martyr who is never responsible for his own mess. He gets off on being the suffering hero. My second thought was, but what if he's telling the truth about Sarah? What if that $1,500 actually is the difference between him getting legal counsel and completely losing his child? I hated the moral ambiguity of it all. It felt like I was being tested. If I helped him, I was enabling his terrible behavior and opening myself up to further manipulation. If I didn't help him, I was potentially punishing an innocent 10-year-old girl. I immediately called Gloria. I just got a letter from Benjamin, I said, my voice shaky. Oh Jesus, what did he say? Did he try to blame you again? I read her the entire letter, word for word, including the part about the copper mug. Gloria was silent for a full minute after I finished. Wow, that is a masterclass in emotional terrorism, she finally said. Is he lying about the money and the lawyer? He's not lying about the money being withheld, Gloria confirmed. The planner told us she wasn't paying him until she got closure on the transportation and venue deposits, which is where he screwed up the most. And yeah, legal fees for this kind of custody case are insane. It wouldn't surprise me if he needed that cash. So what do I do, Gloria? I feel sick. Wayne, listen to me. I know what it's like to be desperate and facing the system, and I know what it's like to be lied to by an addict, because shopping is an addiction just like his martyrdom is. He needs help, but he needs real help, not a $1,500 bailout that he'll probably spend on something frivolous because he doesn't know how to stop the cycle. So you think I should ignore it? No, Gloria said firmly. I think you need to do something professional and clinical. You don't owe him forgiveness. You owe that little girl a chance at a stable environment, but you don't owe him the labor. You owe her the help. Her words hit me hard. You owe her the help. I told Gloria I needed a couple of hours to process. I sat down and looked at the 2 spreadsheets Benjamin needed done. They were a mess, naturally. He had mixed up the final catering deposit with the early bird DJ payment. Typical, it would take me maybe 2 hours to fix, max. I decided on a compromise that was pure Wayne Gonzalez, professional, cold, and centered entirely on the child's well-being while maintaining an iron wall between myself and Benjamin's drama. I fixed the spreadsheets. I spent 2 hours finalizing the numbers, correcting his terrible formulas, and getting the deposits to balance out perfectly. I generated the final reports. Then I wrote an email, not to Benjamin. I wrote it to the wedding planner, CCing Gloria, Karen, and the assistant planner. Subject: resolution of pending Benjamin KELLY budget items final attachments team. Although I formally resigned from this contract due to professional harassment, I have dedicated 2 hours of my time to finalize the pending venue and floral deposit documentation, which was the only remaining deliverable stopping the release of final payment to Mr. Kelly. These attachments provide the necessary reconciliation. I understand Mr. Kelly requires these funds urgently for personal legal matters concerning his daughter. Please consider these documents final and accurate. I request that you process his payment immediately so that he may receive the funds needed to secure proper legal representation. This action is being taken solely for the benefit of the minor child involved in this situation. I will not be responding to any further communication regarding this contract or Mr. Kelly. I consider this matter closed. Wayne Gonzalez. I hit send. It felt clean, not emotionally satisfying, not like revenge, but professionally complete. I had fulfilled the moral obligation without falling for the trap of his emotional manipulation. I didn't engage with him. I didn't forgive him. I just did the work and walked away. I didn't hear back from the wedding planner or Karen directly, but I got a text from Gloria 2 hours later. Gloria, payment processed. Planner confirmed Benjamin got the money. He sent a group text saying thank you and that he was starting the process with the lawyer today. I still hate him, but I feel good about what we did for Sarah. Seriously, Wayne, you handled that like a champ. I corrected her silently. We handled it. Fast forward to Friday, 3 days later. I actually got lunch with Gloria. It wasn't Panera this time. We met at a cool little bistro downtown. She ordered a salad and I ordered a sandwich. We talked for over an hour. Gloria looked different. She wasn't carrying 5 shopping bags. She was relaxed. She was actually smiling genuinely. I canceled Hulu, she announced proudly. I realized I don't even like 90% of what's on there, and I sold 2 of those stupid farmhouse signs on Facebook Marketplace. I made $45. That's awesome, Gloria. You are seriously doing so great. I am. I realized the shopping wasn't about the things, it was about the distraction. Benjamin taught me that, ironically. He was so focused on making me feel bad about my addiction that he completely ignored his own issues. His need for conflict, I mused, stirring my iced tea. Exactly, that need to be the center of the drama. You, Wayne, you fixed the problem, and that made him irrelevant, and he couldn't handle the silence. He needed the noise of the CPS report to feel important again. It was a profound insight, and it really helped me categorize the whole ordeal. It wasn't personal, it was pathological. So what about the wedding, I asked. Oh, it's back on. Karen, the bride's mom, hired a new consultant, someone 50 years old named Agnes who only uses paper ledgers. She's terrified of technology now. And Ralph has been banned from the planning process entirely. He's just a guest now, which is exactly where he belongs. We laughed for the first time in weeks. It felt genuinely good. What about Benjamin? I asked hesitantly. He's still with the lawyer, he's trying. I don't know if he'll get Sarah back full time, but I think he's finally facing the music. The difference is now he has to face the music without an audience because the entire family is furious at him for almost destroying the wedding and involving CPS. He has lost his supply of sympathy. I realized that the jealousy, the sabotage, the cruel report, it hadn't just blown up my life for 48 hours. It had forced Benjamin to confront the terrifying reality of his own existence and his failure as a primary caregiver. It was a self-immolation. We finished lunch. As we were walking out, Gloria stopped me. Hey, I did something kind of silly, she confessed, fiddling with her purse strap. I took a screenshot of your email, the one where you fixed the budget to help Sarah. I keep it on my phone. Why? Because when I'm tempted to buy something stupid, I look at that email. It reminds me that money is a tool for responsibility and kindness, not just instant gratification. You're a good person, Wayne. Don't let that guy make you think otherwise. I got a little teary, NGL. It was the validation I didn't realize I desperately needed. I was so worried that by engaging in the drama, I had become petty and toxic myself, but I hadn't. I had stayed true to my core mission, organizational optimization, even in a crisis. This morning, 3 days after lunch with Gloria, I was back to my normal routine. I ran on the Peloton, made my gas station coffee, still rationing the expensive pods, and opened my laptop. I had 3 new clients, 2 small e-commerce startups, and a guy who needed help structuring his YouTube revenue. Boring, functional, and zero threats of CPS. Perfect. I realized the entire ordeal had actually made me a better consultant. I now included a clause in all my contracts about zero tolerance for professional harassment and legal threats, and I charged a premium for it. I also did something I haven't done since I quit my job 2 years ago. I updated my LinkedIn profile. Under experience, I added, successfully de-escalated high-stakes client conflict, recovering a six-figure event budget and managing resolution of complex inter-family legal matters involving state agencies, specialized in maintaining professional boundaries under duress. It sounded so corporate and I loved it. I did almost text Benjamin once. Last night I pulled up his contact and typed out, "I hope Sarah is okay." I stared at the screen for 10 minutes. Then I deleted the entire draft, blocked his number permanently and went to bed. I had helped the child by ensuring he got the necessary funds. The rest was his journey, not mine. I had to let go of the need to manage his emotional state. I had already managed his spreadsheets. That was enough. The biggest takeaway for me, the former corporate drone who thought he was escaping drama by going freelance, is that people carry their issues everywhere. Benjamin wasn't just jealous of my budgeting skills. He was jealous of my freedom and my stability. He was drowning in his decisions and he saw my little life raft floating nearby, so he tried to sink it. But he didn't. I stayed afloat. I set my boundaries, I fought back with logic and documentation, and I walked away with my integrity intact, even if my faith in humanity took a temporary nosedive. I still have occasional moments of sheer rage when I think about that CPS worker standing at my door. I still stress it talenti when a client takes too long to reply to an email. I'm not cured of my issues, but yesterday I got a text from Gloria. It was a picture of her new expense report. She had bought a new refrigerator filter, which was an actual necessity, and it cost $34.78. Her text read, "See, practical spending." And I still have $50 left over in my account. Thank you, and honestly, that was my real payment. That was the victory. I'm sitting here drinking my average coffee, working on boring e-commerce budgets, and I am finally truly liberated. I survived the CPS scare, the legal threats, and the emotional manipulation. I'm Wayne Gonzalez, 26M, and I am a budget triage specialist, not a therapist, not a victim, and definitely not a gambler. Will I ever see Benjamin again? Probably not. But if I do, I'll just hand him a perfectly optimized expense report and walk away. We'll update if anyone else tries to weaponize a government agency against me over a spreadsheet. Hopefully not. TBH, my sanity can't handle it.